On August 26, 2016, around 7 a.m., a 911 call was received from a young male located in the Bradford Apartments housing projects in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The caller, whose name is Marquisha Walker, stated he had just found his girlfriend deceased in a dumpster. When the Tulsa police arrived on scene, they observed the body of 19-year-old Marquisha Walker, who was in fact deceased in a dumpster. Marquisha had obvious trauma to her head, which was later determined to be 2 gunshot wounds. Marquisha was the oldest of 6 children. She was raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she had dreams of becoming a cosmetologist. She was previously engaged, but 7 months before her death, her fiancé was also murdered. Damon was taken to the police station along with Marquisha's friend and roommates, Barry. After gathering information from the scene, the detectives returned to the station to interview Barry and Damon. Detective White interviewed Barry first. Barry explains that earlier that day, he and Marquisha were chilling over Damon's house. Barry says that he and Damon had a confrontation because, according to Barry, Damon expected Barry to watch his daughter, and Barry felt like that was not his responsibility. Barry explains that the confrontation did become physical, but Marquisha stepped in and stopped the altercation. Barry explains that after Marquisha intervened, Damon forced Barry and Marquisha to leave his house. Barry says that he and Marquisha left and went back to their apartment to chill with their friends. Barry says Marquisha got sleepy and she decided to go back to Damon's house. An hour after Marquisha went to Damon's house, Barry says he saw Damon walking around. Barry said he asked Damon where he was going, and Damon responded and said he was going to get some cigarettes. Barry says Damon asked him if he knew where Marquisha was. Barry said he told Damon no, he didn't know where she was. Barry said he wasn't able to call Marquisha because his phone was dead, so Damon called her multiple times, but she didn't answer. Barry says that he and Damon started walking around the projects searching for Marquisha, but they couldn't find her. Detective White asked Barry who did he think could have hurt Marquisha. Barry responded and said he thinks Damon did it. Back at the crime scene, Corporal Nathan Schilling was canvassing the neighborhood, and he got what he believed to be a very strong lead. One of the neighbors told Corporal Schilling that about 3 weeks ago, Marquisha and Barry came to speak with him. The neighbor said Marquisha was visibly upset and told him that she had just found out who killed her fiancé. The neighbor explained that Marquisha told him that Damon took her to some area and told her he killed a guy right here. The neighbor says Marquisha knew her fiancé was killed in that area. The neighbor said Marquisha put 2 and 2 together and determined that Damon was the person who killed her fiancé. Detective White decided to go back and speak with Barry because Barry did not mention that conversation to him. Detective White asked Barry what he knew about Marquisha's fiancé being murdered and Damon. Barry responds and said Damon admitted to killing him. Barry said that Damon told them Marquisha's fiancé tried to fight him and he defended himself. Detective White then asked Barry, did Marquisha ever confront Damon about killing her fiancé? Barry responds and says yes, Marquisha confronted him about it. Barry also said that last night, all three of them were arguing about the situation. Barry says he was the one who confronted Damon last night about killing Marquisha's fiance. Barry said he asked Damon why would he be around Marquisha's fiance's family and you're the one who killed him. Barry said Damon did not respond. Detective Leatherman conducted a search of Damon's apartment, and there was a crucial amount of evidence discovered there. The detectives found 2 blood-soaked areas on the carpet near the couch, and they also found a bullet casing near the couch as well. After speaking with Barry, getting the tip from the neighbor, and executing a search warrant on Damon's apartment, Detective White and Leatherman finally go in to interview Damon. Damon starts off by saying he asked Barry to watch his daughter while he went to get something to smoke. He said when he came back, his daughter wasn't there, and that made him angry. He said he and Barry got into an altercation, and after the altercation, Marquisha and Barry left to go to their apartment. Damon says that around 2 a.m., Marquisha texted him, telling him to tell his daughter good night for her. He says he texted Marquisha back and told her to come over. Damon said Marquisha agreed to come over, but she never showed up. Damon said that after Marquisha didn't show up, he went to take a walk around the projects. Damon said he saw Barry and asked him if he knew where Marquisha was. Barry told him no, he thought she was with him. Damon said he and Barry began walking around the project searching for Marquisha. Damon says after an hour of searching, Barry went home, but he kept looking for Marquisha. Damon says something told him to look in the dumpster, and that's when he saw Marquisha. Detective White asked Damon if he shot Marquisha, and Damon said no. After speaking with Detective White, Damon changed his story and says his cousin Henry is the one who killed Marquisha. Damon now says that they were all watching TV and he dozed off. Damon said a gunshot woke him up, and right when he woke up, he heard another gunshot. He said he got up and saw Marquisha laying near the couch, and his cousin Henry was standing right next to her. Detective White asked him, why would his cousin kill her? Damon explained that his cousin and Marquisha were dating previously, and he stole Marquisha from him. Detective White asked Damon, how did Marquisha get in the dumpster? Damon said he stood by and watched his cousin take Marquisha to the dumpster. Detective White told Damon he didn't believe him. Damon then changed his story again and said his cousin was threatening his life and forced him to help take Marquisha to the dumpster. He stated that he and his cousin rolled her in blankets and carried her to the dumpster. Damon also said he went with his cousin to a vacant field and his cousin tossed the gun in there. Police officers were dispatched to the location and they recovered the gun in a plastic bag wrapped in a pair of pants. It was exactly where Damon said it would be. The detectives requested for Damon to change his clothes, and they asked him if there was any possibility that there would be gunshot residue on his hands or his clothes. Damon then changed his story again and said his cousin Henry forced him to fire the second shot into Marquisha's head. Detective White asked him, how did his cousin make him fire the gun? Detective White said, are you telling me that he pulled the trigger with his finger over your finger? Damon answered, yes. Detective White told him he doesn't believe that story. Detective White said he believes that he killed Marquisha because she was about to expose him for killing her fiance. Damon rejected that assumption. Detective White decides that he needs to speak with cousin Henry. So Damon agrees to take the detectives to the location where Henry is. Once the detectives arrive at the location in the Bradford apartments, they take Henry into custody. Detectives speak with Henry at the station, and they explain to Henry that his cousin Damon is accusing him of killing Marquisha. Henry denies killing Marquisha. He says he had nothing to do with it and he knew nothing about it. The detectives determine Henry was not involved, and they release him. After reviewing all of their evidence, the detectives decide to place Damon under arrest for the murder of Marquisha. After several court dates and speaking with his attorneys, Damon decides not to go to trial and he pleads guilty to second-degree murder. In May of 2017, he received a sentence of 40 years in prison.